Wow, what was that?
It was different, huh?
Did you finally get your new intro?
Hell yeah.
Nice. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah. Kind of reminds you of English, what's the word I'm looking for? English gangster movies.
It kind of does. Yeah, we finally figured out how to buy music that we can use on the podcast. So
yeah, it doesn't have to be the stuff that just comes standard with our recording website. So it's nice to get something that isn't a default.
Right. And if you guys listen all the way through to the end, you're going to get another surprise.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you know what I just want to do real quick? I just want to just play some of the other fun stuff that comes with our website.
Oh, okay. Yeah, do it.
Charge!
Too bad it's not a baseball podcast.
Here, we should have been using that one more frequently.
Oh, yeah. Totally.
Hang on. Last one.
Elizabeth, I need to tell you something about feminine odor. Damn. We can redo that if you want.
No, Beth, you don't know how this works. You say stupid shit and I keep it in.
I know. And then she says stupid shit and she takes it out. I have to send her jam to get her to take out the stupid stuff I say.
Your jam is awesome, by the way. I just finished it and it was honey fig jam and it was so good. And it was just really sweet. Like every time I would be buttering a piece of toast, I would say, "Oh, Beth loves me. This makes me feel good."
Well, I just made a big batch of lemon thyme fig jam.
Nice.
So, if I mess up too badly, you'll be getting some in the mail.
Nice, thank you.
And I'll be like, this is worth 15 edits. Well, hey, let's get started.
Yeah. So if you enjoyed this type of thing and you want more, you should follow us on Facebook or Twitter at Podcast Fake News. You can email us if you have suggestions or, want to tell us about a fake news story you saw at podcastfakenews@gmail.com.
You can check out our blog at podcastfakenews.com, and that's where all the episode guides are at. Follow along. There's also a page on there that says support us, and that's where it tells you about our Patreon page as well. So, if you are a really big supporter, maybe you'll get some lemon thyme fig jam in the mail too.
Nice.
So today we're going to talk about liberals.
Our favorites.
Confirmation bias.
Yeah.
When things go too far. Things like that.
Yeah. Fake news is largely, I would say mostly a big problem on the right, or it has been historically. But liberals, it was in full swing.
Yeah.
The fake news on the left during the election.
So Sam B actually did a segment where they sent one of their correspondents over to Finland because they actually have kind of solved-ish their fake news problem. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that they talked about, one of the things that the expert, who's American, who the Finnish government have asked for help, but not the American government, he said that basically whoever loses in an election, that side then starts to believe more conspiracy theories and things like that. Mm-hmm. So that could be part of the reason that the liberal side is starting to see an uptick in some of the fake news and believing some of the fake news that they see. So I saw a couple of memes that didn't trigger my fake news senses as fast as it should have. And I realized that when we have this tendency to think it's funny or believe it because it's very possible, then we don't fact check it, right? And we actually had a comment on our blog from one of our listeners who had commented that we should look into kind of confirmation bias and how that relates to fake news. And so we thought that would be a good idea. So I want to share a couple of memes here. This is the one that kind of hit it off for me. There was that picture of Donald Trump doesn't salute the flag. Mm-hmm. And it's an image of Donald Trump not placing his hand over his heart during the playing of the U.S. national anthem. And that is not true. This is photoshopped. And do you remember ever seeing that come across your social media?
I don't know. But this is such an obvious thing to dispute, right? I mean, you're on CNN. This is a debate.
Yeah. And it's like Marco Rubio with his hand over his heart, Ben Carson with his hands delicately placed over his heart, Donald Trump with his hands by his side, and then Ted Cruz with his hand under his suit jacket, to get as close as possible to his cold, dead heart.
It looks like he's going for his wallet.
But actually, it looks like he's going for his gun. Ben Carson's like, I'm about to perform the most delicate surgery on this heart. Ted Cruz is like, I'm going to shoot him.
It sounds like Ben Carson is like a Southern debutante.
I think he is.
Why? What was that accent about?
That's how he sounds in my head. Hello,
that's
Elizabeth.
Weird. It sounds like Michael Jackson. Is that it?
I am here to perform your surgery today.
Well, in this picture, Donald Trump is looking off to his left, and he kind of has this far away kind of look. I whatever. Like, if I saw this, and even if I thought it was real, I wouldn't care, because I wouldn't think that he was intentionally trying to do that. That wouldn't serve his purposes. Why would he do that? Like, it doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
Like, if he would, I could see him maybe being distracted by something or thinking about something else.
Right.
I think I'm going to grab some pussy when I get out of here, just not being present. But not intentionally, I'm going to do a protest, whatever.
Yeah, and
never protested a thing in his life.
And why is this meme out there? It's in response to his attitude about the NFL protests. And so somebody was like, I'm going to make this to show that he is also a jackass. But in this instance, he wasn't actually being a jackass.
No, he saved that for later.
Yeah.
When he talked through a flag ceremony.
Right. So this was photoshopped, and Snopes has an article about it showing like the actual freeze frame of that moment with his hand on his heart. And it also showed earlier when they came out onto the stage of him standing in that position with his hands down. So obviously somebody photoshopped this probably pretty easily, and then put it out there to like rile up the liberals and go to our confirmation bias that Donald Trump is an asshole. Which I guess, I didn't really need a meme for that.
We don't have to make anything up.
We don't have to make this stuff up. There's enough already.
People are just trying to make some money. It's all about the clicks.
Yeah.
It's all about the clicks.
So I have a couple more here. The next one is LeBron James wore a protest shirt that says, "We march, y'all mad. We sit down, you all mad. We speak up, you all mad. We die, you all silent." Now, I don't disagree with anything in that statement, but
I'll tell you what I disagree with. I disagree with your pronunciation of the word y'all.
Well,
you're such a Yankee.
Y'all are gonna have to get used to
it. You all mad.
Y'all?
I'm just like sitting here like rolling my eyes. It was subtle, but it was wrong.
Listen, I have a Southern accent that comes out, okay? I can't help it. And we just spent 3 weeks in the South. It was terrible for me. And, if you don't want to hear my accents, that is. Okay, but here's the thing about this. LeBron James did not wear this shirt. And this is actually taken from when he did wear that shirt that said, "I can't breathe." Mm-hmm. So, like I said, I don't have a problem with the message here, but they shouldn't have put it on LeBron James' chest and stuck it out there saying that he did this protest. And maybe even LeBron James wouldn't have a problem with this message, but but he didn't wear this shirt. So it's not true.
Yeah.
And, I would say, if you see that and you want to share it, crop it. So it just shows the message and nothing else, because fine, stick that meme out there if that's how you feel, but not on somebody's face that didn't actually wear that shirt.
Right. We talked about this. I don't remember if we talked about it on the show or just in a conversation. That really, really bothers me when people Photoshop these images and put celebrities wearing shirts with messages that are just fake. And that celebrity didn't authorize that. I see him in my newsfeed and a lot on Facebook with Lady Gaga. Looks like she's walking through an airport and she's wearing, it was like some kind of resistance shirt or something like that. And, a message that I'm sure she wouldn't take issue with, but she didn't authorize that. So don't do it.
And a lot of times it wasn't on this one, but a lot of times when I've seen that, there's the link below on how to buy the shirt. Mm-hmm. And so it's like the person trying to sell the shirts just slaps it on any celebrity that they can make it look like they were wearing it, and says, "Buy this shirt."
And it's worse. And that's worse, because you're making money off of it. You know what? It just occurred to me. I should be reporting those ads.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I see those. I forget that that's a thing.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. So anyway, this was also fact checked by Snopes, and obviously it was manipulated digitally. So I have a couple more. So this one I thought was really important to talk about because you probably heard about this. So is Trump International Hotel handing out anti-CNN petitions? Did you hear about that?
I did hear about this.
Now, what did you think when you heard that?
It wouldn't surprise me.
Right?
That's what I thought.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's honestly what I thought. Yeah.
Exactly. So, and this wasn't, I don't think it was put out there maliciously. I think this was, no, I'm going to take that back. I think it was because of what this Snopes article says about it. There was a single Facebook post that has already been either deleted or made private. And it said, a friend is required to stay at Trump Hotel in D.C. for work. They handed her this at check-in, not okay. And it was a petition to ask federal buildings to stop showing CNN on public television. The woman in the Facebook post who this was about said she was never a guest at Trump Hotel in Washington, D.C. She did, however, use Facebook's check-in feature when she stopped in for a few drinks at the lobby bar. While she was there, an anonymous person handed her the flyer. She said, "There's been a lot of misinformation about this. I did not stay at the hotel. I was there for drinks at the lobby bar. These flyers were being passed out. I have no idea who gave it to me. I don't know if it was a staff member or not. Other people were handed the flyer in the bar. At first, I didn't read it because I was talking to someone. I'm not a Trump supporter, and after I read it, I posted it on Facebook. This has gotten blown out of proportion a little bit." So the original...
A little bit.
Yeah. The original Facebook post did not claim that the hotel staff had handed out the flyer or that every guest received it at check-in. Yet, as the image spread on social media, the claim was exaggerated. And the original Facebook poster also told us that she does not know Twitter user, it's at Grants11, whose tweet pushed this rumor, garnering more than 10,000 retweets. And she clarified she has no idea who that person is. My friend posted something similar. I think this person just copied it. I think they assumed that when I checked in on Facebook, I was checking into the hotel. This person sure seems to answer a lot of questions about my stay, though. And when we asked a spokesperson for the hotel whether guests were receiving the flyers at check-in, we were told we have no knowledge of this and it's not true. And this does detail a real petition that is on whitehouse.gov, and it has over 50 signatures of this writing. So, whole 50 people want to petition the government to remove CNN from federal buildings.
50 people at a Trump hotel.
Maybe. Yeah. This is something that you see this and you're like, your head wants to explode and you're like, oh my God, is this really true? But it's very exaggerated. So,
yeah.
So I saved the best for last.
Okay. What you got?
Oh Lord. And I'm going to apologize up front because I will be putting this picture on our website, so I apologize for the eye burnings of people who actually see this. This is Trump got a spray tan in the Oval Office, ?
Oh, man. Oh, I just pulled it up. Oh, no.
Okay, so, oh God, it's so gross. I'm looking at it. It's this guy looks exactly like Trump, naked from the waist up, getting sprayed in one of those portable tents. And you can see the windows in the background and the drapes that look like the Oval Office. And it says, breaking, White House staff are fired after taking a photo of Trump receiving a spray tan in the Oval Office. And I will note that the spray tan color is extremely orange.
Why would you do this in the Oval Office?
Well,
like
why would you like President Trump?
No, you're him. Like why there's got to be a bathroom that would be more appropriate for applying spray tan. You just wouldn't.
And
you're asking
to
for
be
trouble.
fair, he didn't. This was a staged photo.
Well, that's right. But I guess you want to believe what you want to believe.
So this was okay. So there's this photographer named Allison Jackson, and she is renowned for her explorations into how photography and the cult of celebrity have transformed our relationship to what is, quote, real. Her notorious photographic portraits, lifelike sculptures, films, and videos are startlingly realistic staged affairs that cast uncanny styled actors into an entirely fathomable projection of a future that could have been. And it goes on a little bit, but basically, like, this is somebody's form of art, is to, like, imagine something and then find a lookalike actor, stage it up, and take this photo to show kind of like a possibility. This is not the first time that one of her photographs has fooled people. There's also a nude Bill Clinton receiving a massage. Another image showing President Trump at a KKK rally. And she's also created several other images featuring a Trump lookalike performing questionable activities in the Oval Office.
So I just Googled her, and I've gone to her website, and the very first image is of Donald Trump in the Oval Office with two women on his lap that have this kind of Las Vegas cabaret singer kind of look, and money is being thrown around in the air. Except it's really funny because the Trump looks like a blow up doll of Trump, even with the mouth that's really round. I mean, it looks just like a blow up doll. The women look real, but he looks kind of fake.
This guy in this spray tan picture looks so much like him. Like, obviously, she has found an amazing lookalike actor to pose in these photos.
Yeah.
But I have some thoughts about this.
Ooh, real quick. This KKK one, this is good. It looks just like
And by good, you mean bad.
I mean, yeah, well,
it's good if you are understanding her art. Bad if you don't know about it and you see this in a meme and think that Trump was really at a KKK rally.
Wow, she has found actors who look just like Prince William and Diana. Wow.
So the problem I have with this is that if you don't know, it's so hard to dispute this because it looks freaking real.
There's one of Elton John I'm not even going to talk about.
We'll put up the link to her website and you guys can go check it out yourselves.
Well, okay, so we've talked about fake news versus satire.
Right.
Right. But we've never talked about fake news versus visual art. Well, and satire is art. But this is, visual art, which is different.
Yeah, I think the problem with this is that what happened is that somebody took this photo and used it for fake news. They made this meme that says a White House staffer was fired. She didn't put this meme out, but people are taking her work and using it for fake news. So it's kind of odd because she's almost doing too good of a job with her art, like, so in the context, if you know the context, it's probably fine. Like you say, like satire, like if you know the context, it's fine. But people are stealing her work and using it for nefarious clickbait reasons. So,
yeah. Oh, I gotta shut down this website because I'm just like, it's really addictive. Just like looking through it, like her Maryland actress is beautiful.
Oh, really?
Marilyn Monroe. And here she has the Queen feeding pedigree to her corgis.
Okay.
I'm closing it. I'm shutting it.
You can do it. So, I looked into confirmation bias and let me pull this up here. So just in case you don't know what that is, per Wikipedia, it's the tendency to search for, interpret, favor, and recall information in a way that confirms one's pre-existing beliefs or hypotheses. So basically you see something that you like and you believe it. And it helps you feel good about, this is what I thought too. So there we go.
It helps solidify your views about the world.
So I found an interesting an interesting article in Psychology Today. And this was posted on December 18th of 2016 by David Brasher. It's called Fake News, Why We Fall For It. And he has the old meme of Donald Trump from the 90s. And it says, if I were to run, I'd run as a Republican. They're the dumbest group of voters in the country. They believe anything on Fox News. I could lie and they'd still eat it up. I bet my numbers would be terrific.
I've seen that spread so many times.
So just to be clear, that's fake.
Yeah, totally fake.
So he says, I think of myself as a relatively intelligent person, and yet like many, I fell for this meme when it turned up on social media. The iconic image of the conspiracy theorist used to be a loner holed up in the cabin in the woods or in his mother's basement. In isolation, he could construct his theories, drawing connections between unrelated events without the benefit of challenging questioner. Ironically, we create similar insular words through our use of social media. We seek out like-minded people to share ideas that confirm biases we may not even be aware that we have. And he talks about the two common reasons that we fall for fake news: implicit bias and confirmation bias. So he talks about like how as a liberal he identifies with other liberals, and he had actually received this meme from somebody in a group that he trusted. And so as a liberal, he has an implicit bias regarding Republicans. And for him, it wasn't a leap to imagine that Donald Trump was said this. And he trusted who he got it from. And then you have the confirmation bias that refers to our tendency to seek out information that confirms what we already know or believe to be true. And for him, he believed that this was something Donald Trump would say. And he said, I didn't even question that it could be not real. I overlooked the fact that the photograph depicts him 10 years younger than the date stated, and that publishing such a statement would obviously be counterproductive for a presidential bid. It simply confirmed what I already thought, and I bought it. So anyway, he talks about Pizzagate in here and kind of the same thing. It led that guy to show up with the rifle to investigate. And then he says, we no longer need to be holed up in a log cabin or socially isolated. We can live in the biggest city in the country, and as long as we keep our faces buried in our smartphones, we will feel connected to a group we belong to and read the information we want to believe. And we'll be sitting ducks for anyone who wants to feed us fake news. We owe it to ourselves to be receptive to people from different groups and with different ideas. They can help us question our assumptions. Sometimes we need a reality check, most often when we don't know it. So that's all.
Yeah.
So the other thing I wanted to talk about really quick is Paul Horner. So Paul Horner, if you don't know that name, and I didn't really know this name until this came out, but he died back in October, I believe. And I'm reading from this article by The Guardian called Paul Horner, How the Fake News Kingpin's Life and Death Blurred Fact and Fiction. And this was published on Saturday, September 30th, 2017 by Maria L. Laganga. And basically, this guy was the kingpin of liberal fake news. So he didn't like conservatives and wanted to make them look stupid by putting out fake news that they would believe. And let's see here. So Brooke Banowski, who we've talked about, the managing editor of Snopes, called Horner's death alleged, adding that she was only half joking. I want to write an obituary, she said, but what if he's not dead? Nothing's true. Everything's true. It's amazing. And a lot of people were doubting, did he really die? Just because people were so used to seeing hoaxes from him.
So real quick, the big one that he is best known for is the Donald Trump protester speaks out. I was paid $3,500 to protest Trump's rally. So that's not a liberal headline.
No, he was a liberal. He posted things that conservatives would believe.
Oh, okay.
Because he wanted to make them look dumb by believing it. But I have
that's very circuitous.
Yeah. Not the best way to go about it, dude.
Okay. I gotcha now.
So that was his biggest hoax. And here's what he did. He not only wrote that article and put it out there, quoted himself as it, but he made up a fake Craigslist ad to go along with it. So, and then he was so confused why people believed it. Well, you put the steps in place for people to confirm it. Yeah.
You created evidence, quote unquote,
Yeah, that's hello. But he said, the story went on to say that these protesters were paid according to race and sex, with the highest remuneration going to white men. It dinged the Hillary Clinton campaign for its lack of computer savvy and fabricated an interview with the founder of Snopes, which had debunked many of Horner's postings. Even his retraction was mean-spirited. The story is not real. No one needs money to protest Donald Trump. The story I wrote is mocking all of you sheep who think protesters are getting paid. Do your own thinking, retards.
Lovely.
Yeah, so He was making between $10,000 to $20,000 a month in ad revenue from his various fake news sites, which he defended as satire. He was a very complicated person, apparently, and was very smart, but a lot of people thought, you know, like one of his friends said, Paul, can't you harness your skills in a better way? And another one said, he reminded me of a lonely boy whose only friend was the internet. He never grew up, and he never realized that he could have done with his skills. A lot of things were a joke to him. You have to wonder what alcohol and the internet did to him. It says, Banowski of Snopes viewed Horner's work as much more dangerous. While he talked about his websites and fake news stories as comedy and satire, she said he ended up blurring the lines, causing confusion and teaching others by example how to create fake news and be believed. For years, all these people have been hiding behind satire as social experimentation, she said. He was very good at trolling, getting news organizations to pick up what he was saying as real news. That doesn't make it satire. And then he had this like charity called Socket Forward. It was a charity that he set up to give news socks to homeless people. And even that, there's like questions on whether or not it was even real. Even though there's pictures of him giving socks to homeless people, people still question like whether or not it's real. And Banowski said she remains skeptical about the charity. She said, but I remain skeptical of everything about him. So anyway, it was just, it's kind of a odd story that this guy who was a liberal and trying to help liberals has ended up being almost the footprint on how to create fake news and has helped a lot of other people create fake news. And he himself, I think, did a lot of damage. And he even says that, like, he's the reason. Like, Paul Horner said that Paul Horner was the reason that Donald Trump got elected because of his fake news stories. And he didn't want Donald Trump elected.
Well, who knows?
I mean, it's just the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was just going to say, like, how could you not see yourself as assisting him when this is what you're doing?
So this is kind of like a big scope example, but I think for us and for our listeners, the little scope is that when we share fake news that confirms to our bias, even if it's something that resonates with us, like the spray tan one or LeBron James protest shirt, that it can have real unintended consequences. And it doesn't help. So don't do it.
Think before you share.
Right.
My gosh, it's awful.
So that is what I have for you today, Elizabeth.
Well, that was fun.
Yeah.
That was a nice little romp through confirmation bias land.
Yeah. Do you feel confirmed in your biases now? Do you want to see more pictures of a naked Donald Trump getting spray tanned?
No. Stop.
Never again. I wish, I don't know. I don't have Photoshop and I'm probably terrible at it anyway, but I wish I could put just like a little like censored over that photo. I put it in the blog just because it's really bad.
That's a tough one to look at. Yeah.
Don't eat or drink anything while looking at the blog this time.
Oh yeah. You'll do a spit take or choke to death or something. Yeah. So what I want to talk about today is a really serious issue, and it has to do with censorship and what is allegedly going on with Google right now. So we all know that Google, Facebook, Twitter have been under a lot of pressure to take action and do something about the fake news content that is being shared on their platforms.
Because obviously we can't rely on people
Right. People can't be relied on to not be gullible.
Right.
To say, hey, I think that my confirmation bias is coming into play here. I need to think before I spread this. Clearly, that's not a thing. That's not going to happen. So, and we talked about the issue of potential censorship and how do you combat fake news.
Right.
With Maggie Farley when she was on a few months back, and she had said, you have to be really, really careful because censorship is really problematic. Right. And it's true. And it seems like maybe we're seeing some of that borne out. So Google said last year, end of last year, that they were going to try to do something about their fake news. And I have an article from Rolling Stone called Google Crackdown on 340 Fake News Sites last year. Oh, and I wanted to use what's being described in this article as an example of what I think is smart policing. Okay. So this is an article by Elias Wright.
I'm sorry. Your cat just walked in front of your screen. I just saw Elizabeth's cat. So please continue.
Her name is Luna. She's keeping me company today. So anyway, the man's name is Elias Light, Leight, and this article is from January of 2017. And they are citing a report that Google had released just a little bit before that, announcing that it took action against 340 sites that deceive people with their content. And what it did is it removed their ability to use Google Ads.
Gotcha.
So there was no monetary incentive for them to operate anymore because there was no way to get paid for it.
Right. Okay. Because Google basically is the main way to get paid from clicks.
Yeah. Google Ads. The mechanism for doing that.
Yeah. Okay. So Google Ads said no more. You can't. Your account's blocked type thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it says here close to 200 of these sites are no longer allowed to use Google Ads.
Okay.
Yeah. And so they went after fake news sites ad revenue in November by adopting a new AdSense policy that explicitly prohibited sites propagating misrepresentative content from using Google Ads.
So just really quick, I'm looking at this Rolling Stone article online, and it says there's a box right next to what you just read. It says related, how a fake newsman accidentally helped Trump win the White House. Paul Horner thought he was trolling Trump supporters, but after the election, the joke was on him. So they did an article about him too. Okay.
Yeah, they did an article on him too. They have some interesting ones off to the right here too, which I wanted to click on, but I didn't have time. So watch Samantha Bee meet Ashley behind fake news websites. Have you seen that?
I haven't. No.
Yeah.
I looked at those too and I was like, ooh, something for later.
So I think that sounds like a really great idea. Okay. Just take away their ability to get money off of this, but they still have the ability to put it out there. You just don't have as much incentive, right? So cuts down on, the censorship aspect of it. You're not shutting them down. You're not saying you can't do this.
So it's making me think of the Palmer report, because Bill Palmer, he'll run GoFundMe campaigns, or he asks for subscribers. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it can cut out their Google ad revenue. They still have options to try to get money from people directly.
But it's a little bit, that would be more complicated.
That's more complicated, a little bit harder. So,
yeah. So what's been going on more recently is Google is being accused of cracking down on far left media. Now, in April, Google announced that they were going to revise their policy regarding their algorithm and how things appear in their search results. So there's an article on Salon called Fake News, quote unquote, or Free Speech. Is Google cracking down on left media by Matthew Sheffield. And this came out on the 18th of October.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I kind of remember what you were talking about. Something came out about Google. It was like going to be where if you search for something, you should get legitimate websites at the top of your search, not the fake news ones. Because like the fake news ones were like too far up there. People were getting fake news for their results when they search something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so Google wants to have the legitimate good stuff come up first. And that's not just having to do with fake news. That's for everything. Right? So if you are saying, I need a new computer, you want Best Buy or some other reputable source to come up instead of Rick's sketchy computer store, down the highway.
And really the only people that this is a problem for is you and me, because we're trying to find the fake news.
That's right.
I have noticed lately, I'm like, I'll do a Google search and I'm like, this is all legitimate. Like, where's the fake news?
Well, and this is, it's a legitimate thing too, to want your searches to have good things come up, right? But something is wrong in Google land, though. Okay. Something is very wrong because over at let me find the exact name of this website.
So it looks like the first part of your article that you're looking at, this is the Salon one, right? It says progressive websites say they're being unfairly penalized by Google's clumsy efforts to stamp out fake news. That doesn't sound very complimentary. No.
So over at the World Socialist website, they report up to a 74% decline in search traffic from Google since April, since they started making some of these changes.
And is this a legitimate website?
Yes, it is. So I looked up on mediabiasfactcheck.com, and the World Socialist website is rated as highly factual reporting.
Nice.
Sometimes they use words that are loaded, but the website is credible.
Nice.
Yeah. And so they are also saying in this article and in other articles that talk about this subject that Alternet is another website that's reported a serious decline.
Okay.
Now, Alternet has mixed reliability, according to MediaBiasFactCheck.com. I know I've seen some kind of sketchy things coming from that website before, but it says that some of its sources aren't totally trustworthy, but it's not necessarily like you wouldn't call it all fake news. And it's not a hoax website, as it was saying on Media Bias Fact Check, that it's been referred to as a hoax site by others, but definitely doesn't go to that level. But when you go to Alternet, the very first thing that comes up is a page talking about their decrease in web traffic.
Oh, really?
And asking for donations, because at this point, their revenue stream has dropped off so much that they're asking for donations to help supplement that. So now one of the ones that makes me super sad is that they're also reporting that Democracy Now! Has seen a significant decrease in web traffic. And that is, according to Media Bias Fact Check, highly factual, good reporting. They also have a radio presence and a podcast and, other kind of ways of getting their message out there. That's a real problem if what they're saying is true, that a lot of these far left publications
that are legitimate
are getting mixed up in this.
And it's not that Google has taken away their ability to have ads. They're just not getting traffic directed to them from searches anymore.
Because they're not coming up at the top of the search.
Right. Okay.
And it's thought that it's because they're getting caught up in some of these changes that Google is making and how their algorithms work. And so it's putting them way down in the search. Okay. So really interesting in the Salon article, he has links to the Google announcement on April 25th. Okay. So you can go of this year. So you can go and you can read what Google has to say about this. And part of what they said is that they have made new search quality rater guidelines.
Okay.
And what does that mean? Okay. So I've learned all kinds of information about how Google manages its searches through looking into this article. It's really interesting. So they have people that are employed to take a look at these searches. I figured this was all just computers doing their thing, right? But there are people who do this. And if you go to this April page, there's a link in here to the search quality rater guidelines.
Okay.
And it takes you to a document that are the general guidelines, that this version is July 27th of this year. And it talks about what these people are looking for. Okay. And so they have, if they come across something that is porn, or offensive, they get marked a certain way. If it's something that fully meets a search criteria, it gets marked a certain way. If it moderately meets it, slightly meets it, it can get downgraded. Okay. And then it has all of these suggestions about so this is the type of thing that is fully me, it's partially not me, it's like a 160-page document.
Oh, wow. So did you read that?
Yeah, actually I did.
Bravo.
Because it's really interesting, right?
Wow.
And I was like, I got to pull myself away from this thing. I got other things I have to do.
You're like, oh, yes, I have a family.
And of course, right, I want to look at the page where it talks about what they do with the porn, because I want to know, if someone has to say if this is fully meeting the porn searches. Yes. Or this porn isn't any good, we're going to put this down at the bottom of the search. Who decides what's the best porn?
Wow. That's somebody's job then, huh?
Well, so anyway, it doesn't quite get into the weeds of the porn like that, but there's a porn discussion on here. So it was just really, really interesting. And so we're going to put the link in the website. And I got a kick out of it.
Nice.
Yeah, so just really interesting stuff. Okay. And then there's direct feedback tools, like if you've ever seen autocomplete for the predictions of what the rest of your search is going to be. Sometimes that has some weird stuff. One of the big things is, say, did the Holocaust autocomplete used to give you some pretty fucked up results. You know, and you say, I just want to know if the Holocaust happened in the 1940s and you're sending me to some denial pages.
Right.
So they're looking.
It sounds like there's a lot of good intentions with what Google is doing.
Yeah, I think so.
The result is unfortunately affecting some websites more than others that are legitimate.
it could put these people out of business.
Right.
And silence some of these legitimate far left voices. And
so
that's the problem, because there isn't a lot of that.
Is it something where these websites just need to adjust their SEOs, which is search engine optimization? Is it something where Google needs to have a rating for websites so that they can rate them, so they know based on this rating whether they're a go or not?
Well, I mean, they have, like I was just talking about, does this fully meet your search criteria, partially, right, slightly not? Is it misrepresenting? Is it offensive? Because if so, it's going to get put down way at the bottom of the search engine, barrel. So,
right.
And I don't know what's happening with these websites and why they're finding this. Okay. Google isn't talking. Okay.
Yeah, of course not, because they're not going to give away their secrets either.
They don't want to talk about the secret sauce, right? And that's understandable. But I do want to talk also about something else they talk about in this article, how the right is also saying that they've been having some trouble with Google.
Oh, I see here, Daily Stormer.
Yes. So the Daily Stormer has called for the nationalization of Google. So does that mean that they want the government to take it over?
I that's what it sounds like, right?
Yeah, I bet they do want the Trump administration to take Google over. Yeah, it's pretty hypocritical.
Yeah.
For someone on the right to be calling for more government.
Yeah.
And
regulation.
The government just needs to take over this massive company that, that's very convenient for you, huh? So it's funny though.
I was just going to say the Daily Stormer, if you look them up on mediabiasfactcheck.com, they have a terrible record. They're not factual. They're not a good website. And I think one difference to keep in mind here is we're talking about this because it's saying that like Google hears complaints from the left and the right. The ones that they're getting the complaints with on the right are actually crap websites that shouldn't be coming up. And the ones on the left, you've already verified, are actual good websites. So,
well, they're actually a neo-Nazi website.
Right. Yeah. The Daily Stormer is complete shit. They're the ones that were on that Vice video.
Yes.
You remember that?
Yes.
At Charlottesville.
Yeah, and it's not... Yeah, I think that Christian Picciolini might have talked about them when he was on our show.
Really
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. They are actually neo-Nazis. But the funny part is when I was reading the Google document and they were giving examples of offensive material, they were using Daily Stormer examples.
Yeah, they're a great example. They're a horrible website.
I mean, they're actually, in their printed documents, they are citing these people as things that you might want to look out for and say that this should be lower down on the search.
Which I agree with. And I just want to, I guess just because we were talking about confirmation bias earlier, that's why I bring it up, is that like, this isn't just a confirmation bias thing. Like, the Daily Stormer is a horrible website and should not come up under Google searches. Like, you should have to know how to use the dark web to see the Daily Stormer. And
I was thinking about that. I don't know about that, right? I don't, because it's there and we're talking about the censorship, and I struggle with that because I don't, want them to have a platform, but I think that they should. They just shouldn't be at the top. It shouldn't be, did the Holocaust prediction ever happen? Oh, what's that? Daily Stormer, number one. Right. They shouldn't have the biggest and the loudest platform, but they should definitely be able to put that out there.
Well, here's the thing, and I guess this is where it gets complicated, is Google is not the government. Mm-hmm. And they are a company that has the right to change things like this based on public opinion, which is what they're doing. Google is responding to what the public has said they want. And is it censorship if it comes from a company versus the government?
Yes. Yeah, it's still censorship, but Google is the one who's perpetrating the censorship. And so it wouldn't be a First Amendment issue.
Right. So, I mean, yeah, it's a tough question to answer, that business versus government. But on the other hand, you have the public isn't going to accept Google being like, well, we can't censor, sorry.
Mm-hmm. No, we're not.
Yeah.
And it says in this article here that Steve Bannon apparently promoted the idea within the White House of regulating Facebook and Google like public utilities.
Yeah, because he wants to control them.
Mm-hmm. So when they're in power and it's convenient for them,
they'll love it
so much. They'll get that party of small government out of here. Wait, what does that mean? No. We want to do this. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. What else is going on here? This is interesting. Let's keep going.
Well, moving on from that article. So there's a New York Times article that talks about what happened. It's called "As Google Fights Fake News, Voices on the Margins Raise Alarm" by Daisuke.
Oh, jeez. I just saw the name. By a very accomplished journalist.
Yes, who is rocking the house with her journalism, and her last name is Wakabayashi.
Oh, that sounded very good.
Yeah, so my sincere apologies to Daisuke Wakabayashi. But this was on September 26th of this year, and they are talking about the claims of the World Socialist website, and they did their own investigating on it. And it says the New York Times could not find the same level of traffic declines at all of those publications based on data from SimilarWeb, a web analytics firm.
Oh, really?
Traffic coming from search engines for the World Socialist website was down 34% during the months of May to July, compared with the preceding 3 months, according to SimilarWeb. So that is in comparison to the 74% that they ended up reporting that I think their numbers came from Alexa, which is Amazon's web traffic service.
Okay.
So, also I think New York Times said here that this was through July, and they were saying that that this has gotten worse. Okay. So at the time that this was reported in September, they're saying they were at that 74%. So I just want to kind of put that out there, that their reporting says it's a little bit different, but it does still show a serious, significant decline.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Now, I also found this really cool website called Search Engine Land, which talked about, it's like a marketing search engine optimization website. And so this article is called Google's Project Owl is a 3-pronged attack on fake news and problematic content. So Project Owl was the internal name for this endeavor at Google to fight back on what it calls problematic searches.
Okay.
So I thought that was kind of cool. That's like its little military name for the thing. Yeah. And Google says that this is a very small problem, a fraction of our query system. And it is like, I think they said like 0.25% of these searches.
And real quick, the author of this article is Danny Sullivan, and it was published on April 25th of 2017. So this is back in April, basically.
Yeah, I didn't want to say his name because it wasn't even up to the challenge for me. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I was like, oh, Danny Sullivan. I got this one, Elizabeth.
But it's a good article, and it kind of, I feel like it kind of comes at it from this perspective of, like the people at Google are people, right? And they're trying to give you a good product. And they see this as a problem in a very small percentage of their searches. Okay. But it's having a bigger social impact. And so if you think about it, like 0.25%, it's the amount of searches that are done. Absolutely massive. So it's small, but here we are. Now the world is going to end.
I mean, the question is in fighting fake news, would you rather have Google go 0.1% too far or 0.1% not far enough? You know, which side do you want them to land on? Where they're, you know, censoring, if we want to use that word, some of these websites versus letting in not great websites to err on that side. Like, what side should they err on?
Well, and it talks about their three-pronged approach for a new feedback form for search suggestions, new feedback form for featured snippet answers, which I'm talking about in a second, and a new emphasis on authoritative content, which is kind of what we talked about, right? So it's putting the emphasis on things that it thinks are more factual and more reliable. And so the ones that we talked about are getting put down at the bottom. So it talks about improving those autocomplete search suggestions, like we discussed, and actually uses that Holocaust example in the article.
Right. Which I do appreciate that one, because that is kind of gross sometimes when you're like typing, you're like, no.
So when you see something that comes up like that, you can do a report inappropriate search. It's kind of off to the right of the search field, and it will ask you which of the predictions that came up do you take issue with and why. Okay. And then you can add a little comment and you can send that to them.
Nice.
And the featured snippets, do you know what that is?
I don't. What is that?
So when you put something into Google and it's really obvious what the answer is, okay, it wants to draw your attention to it, and it pops up in a little box up at the top of the page above the searches, and they kind of call that the one true answer. Okay.
Oh, I love those. I've been noticing them.
Yes, I love that. I love that. Okay.
Yes.
So there have been some problems with some of those featured snippets, as you can imagine. Okay. And this is the function that lets the Google personal assistant, Google Home, answer some of your questions. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So if I say, Google, what is 2 + 2, right? And it'll say 4. I mean, I don't know, a numerical function is probably a bad example of that. I don't know, here, the one they use here is, Google, why is the sky blue? Right? There's a real answer for that, and it can tell you really quickly. Okay. So, but quite recently, if you said, Google, are women evil? It would tell you, it would tell you how all women have a little bit of prostitute in them.
And what did it say for men?
Probably a short, sweet no.
Probably all men have a little flatulence in them. You know, I was just thinking as you were talking about this, because I love those snippets that come up. It's been really helpful, but I can see how it probably drives down web traffic to certain sites, because you no longer have to click on the site to read the answer. You can just see it right there. I wonder if that affects actual like numbers of website traffic.
That's a really good point. Yeah, I don't know how that works. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then lastly, on the authority boost, it says that a search for did the Holocaust happen sees no denial sites at all in the first page of Google's results. And it says the result had been dominated by them last December. And then it points out that, however, they're still coming up on Bing, where 6 of the top 10 listings contain denial content. And I'm like, oh yeah, Bing. That's a thing.
Bing.
That's right. There are other search engines.
I'll use those. I guess we'll have to start looking for fake news on Bing then, because it's getting harder to find it on Google. To switch over to Bing. We are seriously the only 2 people in the world who have this problem.
So that's it for me. I think it's sad what's happening to the World Socialist website and Democracy Now! And their ilk, and I wanted to talk about it.
I do feel, obviously that's not great that their website traffic is down, and I hope that they can overcome that or find ways to fix it. But I have to say, I'm not upset at Google for trying to fight fake news.
Yeah.
And I'm not upset that they have taken Holocaust denying out of the search results, that come up. It's almost like just making Google be more like a socially responsible person in their responses. You ask it a question, it doesn't just start spewing conspiracy theories. So that I appreciate. And I think that, with any company like Google or Facebook and Twitter, this is a new problem and they're trying to find their way through it. And it's not going to be perfect the first attempt that they put out to try to fix it. It's going to be an ongoing, living, breathing thing. So I just personally, I've been a little bit hesitant to be really critical of Facebook and Twitter and of Google and everybody they're trying to deal with this, and maybe they're not doing enough. Maybe they're doing too much, the case here, but they're doing something. And so I can't be too critical of those tries personally.
Yeah, no. We need to definitely support the tries. And just personally, I like what Google is trying to do. Like I said, with the Rolling Stone article, taking money away from the super fake ones.
Right.
I think that if this is actually really happening, if these websites have been put down at the bottom of the searches, I don't think that there's an ideological effort at Google to suppress progressive voices. I don't think that's what's happening. And but I might be wrong. Who knows? Right. But I just don't feel, I don't feel like that's what they're about.
I think this is an unintended consequence.
Probably so. And that's kind of why I wanted to bring it up and just say, hey, we need to be careful. Okay. Because this is having a big impact on the bottom line of these companies. Whatever is happening.
Yeah.
People are going to lose their jobs. These voices are going to be silenced if it continues.
Yes. And there are always going to be issues with changes. That's just how the world works. I think about, if anybody thinks about their personal job, you can't have rules and regulations and things that fit every single situation perfectly every single time. There's unfortunately always going to be those outliers of problems that happen from a rule.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Hey, Beth, I have a joke for you.
What?
Yeah, I do. I have a joke for you. So,
okay.
3 conspiracy theorists walk into a bar. You think that's a coincidence?
Nice. Nice. That was a good one.
I thought you'd like that.
And you even waited to tell me live on the air. So proud of you.
Last week I was like, I got a joke, Beth. It's funny. It's for us.
Very nice.
That's from my buddy Brent, by the way. I'll just give a little shout out to Brent.
Thanks, Brent. Thanks, Brent. Well, what do you think? Should we wrap it up?
I believe so.
Okay. You guys know the drill. Follow us, Facebook, Twitter, podcastfakenews.com. Hey, rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes. Don't forget to do that.
Do all those things.
Give us a review.
Yeah.
5-star one. Let's not get crazy here, people.
If you have something critical to say, email and we'll talk about it.
Email us at podcastfakenews@gmail.com. And as long as Gmail lets it through, we will respond to it.
Well, thank you so much for listening.
Yeah, and until next time.
Spread jam.
Not lies.